Don't forget YouTube, as Eric O from the fantastic South Main Auto channel will tell you, every tool has a hammer side. Hello again YouTube, right, welcome back to the bottom bracket overhaul on the Triple B. Let me just make sure that this is all still nicely focused. Cool. Okay, so the new bearings have turned up, and the first thing I've done is measure them to make sure that they're the same, and they are absolutely identical. So we're good to go. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this cup up. Ambient temperature at the moment is 25 degrees. So we're going to get that nice and hot. I've actually got my new bearings in a cool bag here with a couple of ice packs. They've been in the freezer overnight. So the plan is to get this cup nice and hot so that the new bearing will just hopefully fall right into it. One thing to bear in mind, don't throw your old bearings away until you've done this job, because if you need to press them in with a vise or drift them home, that will make an excellent spacer to push them in. So without further ado, yes, I'm going to put some gloves on. This might make getting the new bearing in. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to live dangerously, YouTube. See what you've done to me. All right. So the cup is currently a little over 100, oh bloody hell. Yeah, nearly 200 degrees, Christ. That is hot. So what I am going to do is, having said I'm not going to put a glove on, I'm going to put one glove on so that I can steady that bearing steady that cup whilst I drop the new bearing in. Get the bag open because I think we're getting there almost. So temperature. Still at 188, she's holding her temperature nicely. Gonna leave the blowtorch running just in case I need it. Right, new bearing is there. Pick that up. Steady that. Okay. That is home. So, like I say, I'm just going to drop that on top, and just for good measure, okay. Well, there you go, YouTube. The bearing is installed, so I'm going to let that cool down, and then we can reassemble the bottom bracket. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention in the last video is that if you're ever changing bearings on your bike, or on anything for that matter, don't get drawn into simply thinking that you've got to buy a manufacturer's kit of bearings. Well, I mean, they don't even make a kit of bearings for something like a bottom bracket like that. But once you take the old bearing out, it's quite easy to identify whether you can buy a replacement, because it will have an identity number stamped into the seal usually. And well, sometimes they're stamped into the seal, sometimes they're kind of laser etched into the side of it there. But literally, just take that number, punch it into Google, and you should be able to find a replacement bearing. Most bearing manufacturers online will also give you the dimensions of the bearing so that you can just double check those against your the one that you're replacing, and just make sure they are the same. Get yourself a caliper or something like that just to measure them. And personal choice here. I know that you can buy digital versions of these on Amazon quite cheaply, but this was my dad's old one I inherited, and I just find this, I might sound like an old fart, I find this a lot easier to read than the digital ones, because the digital ones, I never trust the accuracy on them, especially, you know, when they're 10 quid and made in China. But also I find that you always get that 0.00 something of a millimetre, which, let's be honest, you know, that's, I doubt the accuracy of that, let's put it that way, and I just find it distracting. Whereas this whole thing, lovely clear scale, slides nicely, just easy to read. Yeah, anyway, that's an aside. But like I say, don't go out and buy bearing kits. Always, in my opinion, see if you can find the bearing identification, and then, you know what, you can often find that you'll get an upgraded bearing. It's something I've done with my road bike that I'm going to be overhauling, the Damani. The bottom bracket bearings on that are prone to failure, so I've actually upgraded to ones that are full of marine grease, which are recommended for mountain bikes, so they should be a little bit hardier. Okay, so there we are, YouTube. Refurbished rather, bottom bracket. The first one went in dead easy, just dropped into the cup. I was a bit cack-handed on the second one. I managed to get that a little bit wonky as it was going in, but managed to rectify that literally just by pushing it in with the vise. So which has done the job nicely. And like I say, you know, that's the reason for keeping the old bearing, because literally all I did was put that on there, put that lot in a vise, gave it a squeeze, bang, slipped home nicely. So now all I've got to do is put the spacers and covers back on. Ow. And that feels pretty darn good. Okay, there you go, YouTube. Bottom bracket refurbishment. And yeah, like I say, I've still got plenty of bearings left over here. There's a whole box of them left, so there's 4 more bottom bracket jobs in there. I think the cups will wear out before I run out of bearings. Anyway, thanks for watching, YouTube. Hope you found that interesting. Just a short one today, just to finish off this piece. And like I said in the last video, look out for some upcoming videos on my road bike, my Damani 4.5, which this afternoon is commencing a strip down with a view to a long-term rebuild. Thanks for watching, YouTube.